Alright everyone, so as most of you know, I've been on the self-awareness, self-growth journey for a long time now. I've known that I was an ENFJ since I was 17 and I'm now 24, and I have been pretty much interested in this sort of typology stuff ever since. I've not stopped with my obsession. So I wanted to talk about a question that I get a lot. As I'm aware that introverted thinking is my inferior function, and I have been aware for several years, I have paid special attention to developing that function. And it's funny because a lot of you guys who are just now meeting me might be confused by how maybe they think that I act compared to other ENFJs they know. This is because this tool of understanding cognitive functions and personality has really helped me, and it's really helped me grow. And if you were to have met me at age 17, when I first took the test, when I first was discovering all this, I was a completely different person, and I was completely addicted to extroverted feeling in all the worst ways. And I'm not perfect. I have a lot of room to grow, but I can safely say that I don't think that FE is as much of a drug that is completely controlling my life the way that it was at that point. And everyone's dominant function is something that you are addicted to, and too much of a good thing, even if it is your preference and something you're skilled at, can turn into a bad thing. So DaveSuperPowers did a video recently about EFJs developing their introverted thinking, and I wanted to share my personal experience of how I have developed my introverted thinking, because you know, sometimes it helps better to hear an actual example from what someone has done as opposed to just hearing generally these are some things that an ENFJ or ESFJ could do to develop their introverted thinking. I thought it was quite humorous when Dave said in the video that you should start with something small. Organize your clothes, organize your backpack for the day tomorrow, organize your I don't know, food. It's quite humorous to hear him say that, because especially over the past 2 years since I've graduated college, I have been taking on little challenges like this. It's easy to get overwhelmed and think, oh my gosh, I have to design my entire life. But just for fun, for me, I have done things like, you know what? I think that I want to have a wardrobe that is cohesive. Okay, what does that look like? I've gone through the intensity of being like, okay, what are my favorite stores? What are my favorite types of clothes? What is a way that I can buy clothes that aren't going to rip? Like, how can I figure out what jeans are the best jeans for me so that I'm not continuously going to Target and getting jeans for $20 and then me not liking them, or them going out of style quickly and throwing them away? That's inefficient. Or like, oh, I've learned that these types of jeans rip and they aren't good for me, whatever. Like, all of this sort of trial and error. Without introverted thinking, you're gonna just keep pretty much buying whatever the stores tell you to buy. For me, a way that I have developed my introverted thinking is through my wardrobe. I pretty much decided, like, you know what, I don't want to support fast fashion, but I don't have much money. You know, starting out with my career, with a degree in journalism and a background in media, those starting salaries aren't really enough to go out and buy all this designer clothes. Especially, like, it was really hard for me, I realized, to go from wearing clothes in college to having to look a little bit more professional. And I was like, man, like, I would go to these stores and I would be like, man, I really don't want to look this preppy. Like, this isn't really my look. Well, then what is my look? And this whole idea of, you know, establishing my identity, this is very TI. Like, what is my look? Who am I? What do I want people to think of when they look at me? How can I avoid just buying whatever the stores are promoting to you? That is what, you know, the tribe, what everyone in the tribe is wearing. for me, it's been this whole, like, I would journal about it, I would watch a lot of videos about it. I wanted to do whatever I could to figure out a system that works for me. And for the past 2 years, I've gotten into minimalism. I've gotten rid of a lot of my clothes that I knew I wasn't gonna wear. I had to really look into it and be like, you know what? Am I gonna wear this or am I not? And that's really hard for an FE dominant to just pick which one you prefer and what you don't prefer. I know this might seem really simple. To any of you out there who are Ps, who use FI or TI, you're doing this all the time. You already know what your preference is. You already know what your identity is. This is hard for an ENFJ. It's hard to be like, you know what? I prefer that sweater to this sweater. Or this sweater is more useful because it fits with the aesthetic of the clothes. It matches with more things. Or it's more comfortable. Like those sort of things. Or this one has pockets and this one doesn't have pockets. Those sorts of things are all things that I have gotten down to a science in my life. I pretty much know I've pretty much decided that for me, if you're curious, I'm going to heavily invest in jeans and comfortable shoes, and almost all of my tops and outerwear I get from thrift stores now, because I don't want to support fast fashion, but I don't have much of a budget, and so I've found that going to thrift stores works well for me, works well for my TI system. It also works well in the sense that I have a more, what do I want to call it? I have a sort of a different style than what you might see as trendy or whatever. Like, I mean, you can sort of see, like, I don't know if you would call this classic or what. You guys, I've had some comments, people thinking my style is kind of weird. I don't really know. I'm inspired by vintage things and I like to express myself. I don't, so that was important to me to figure out how can I express myself for a budget in a way where I'm not continuously buying clothes in a unsustainable fashion where I don't have enough money in my budget. Like having to really look at my budget and be like, okay, how much money can I spend on clothes? Am I giving away these clothes? Like, am I, you know, all of that is consideration. So that's something that I've done. Another thing that I've done to develop my TI is I've really wanted to figure out, okay, what sort of exercise is for me? I've never really liked running. I've never really liked certain, I've never really liked sports. And so this is another like TI problem I had to solve. I was like, look, I don't like running. I don't like sports. I don't want to, you know, die at a young age because I'm not fit. What are some things that I can do to stay physically active in a way that actually fits my lifestyle, actually fits who I am? That was another TI problem. I pretty much decided that stretching in the morning and doing yoga was the best form of physical activity for me. And also I listen to music so much, and so dancing while listening to music when I'm home alone is another way to stay active. And it's another way for me to just let things flow through me. So that was something that I had to solve. And, you know, for me, as an FE dominant, watching YouTube videos, asking friends what they do, that is the best way to solve what my introverted TI, or my introverted TI, inferior TI is trying to figure out. So, you know, that physicalness was something else I had to figure out. Another thing I had to figure out as I, you know, graduated college and everything, moving out on my own, like, what are my favorite foods? How am I going to, and okay, this might seem silly for you to think, okay, why does it matter what your favorite foods are? Well, because I realized that for me, if I'm not buying my favorite foods, or if I don't know how to cook my favorite foods, then I'm gonna be very tempted to eat out all the time, and I don't have the money for that. I have to budget for that. So really exploring with cooking, teaching myself what my favorite recipes are, has been crazy for me. And I sort of have a rotation of about 10 to 15 recipes that I really like. And in my free time, I will like sometimes watch, you know, YouTube videos again. I love YouTube for this reason. It gives me ideas. I have a few recipes in rotation that I know I'm always gonna like no matter what. And I had to figure out the whole meal prepping thing, like when is the best way to design the system of meal prepping. How, I bring my food to work like every day. I rarely eat out. If I do, it's in the weekend. And I think that there's a few reasons why my TI was catalyzed. One was being poor, to be honest. Not having enough money. You have to look at your budget and literally make sure what you are spending. I had to organize pretty much every single category in my life. And it made me chuckle watching that video from Dave and talking about how, start small, do this or whatever. And it's like, I literally feel like in the past 2 years, I've had to overhaul every single aspect of my life to really optimize this system, this TI system that is me living life. Because for me to actually be a happy, healthy person, I'm gonna need to make sure I'm eating right. I mean, for me, like every month, I'll make a salad and I'll just eat salad for a couple days, because I know that if I buy salad any other time and try and just weave it in, that the food will probably go bad. These are some things that I've learned of, like, how can I make sure that I'm eating my greens without the food going bad. And for me, another TI thing I've gone through is that I eat mostly vegan now. I gave up meat at about a year and a half ago now, and I only buy vegan products for myself. That was a whole other thing of trying to really align my actions with my values and with my identity. It goes along with sustainable fashion. To me, I was like, I don't want to support sweatshops. I want to support planet Earth. What can I do that is within my means, that is showing my FE values, being my TI individual? How can I solve this problem? Did that. Same with my diet. It is trying to solve a problem of my values. I think that veganism is the correct diet. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but personally, I think it's the healthiest diet. I think it's the best diet, and I've begun to feel like a hypocrite for not eating that way. And this is actually a big motivator for EFJs, or probably anyone that uses TI, is if you begin to feel like a hypocrite for not doing something, that's TI will come in and let you know if you're being a hypocrite if you listen to it and if you try and develop it. Another reason that my TI has been developed is due to TI user friends who have helped me out. I don't really think that it's possible to develop your inferior function 100% in a vacuum. I think that, sure, there are some things you could do through introspecting, but go ask a friend that uses that function. Observe how they live their life. What do they do that you don't do? I mean, I'd say I have dated an INTP, an ENTP, and 2 ISTPs over the past 5 years, and just having some of the things that they've said, their voice in my brain, has also sparked my TI. Now, you don't have to go date someone that uses your inferior function, but that is one thing that probably could help. Or just having a friend or a family member, talking to them more and being open to them giving you feedback, because they're gonna see you for the crazy that you are. TI users see how irrational I am, and I need that in order to be less irrational. We all have an irrational part to us. This is not like a feeler versus thinker thing. Anyone who is a person that has functions is gonna have this irrational aspect to them, where their inferior function is like crazy, and your dominant function's out of control. So yeah, I would say that sustainable fashion and veganism, even though, you know, I'm not perfectly vegan, I'm working on it. These are some things that I've done to improve my TI, and I quite literally bought a new lunchbox because I wanted a lunchbox that fits with my system. Like, figuring out little systems of, like, something I do is like, I have a bunch of mason jars, and I figured out that you can brew tea while cold in the refrigerator if you just wait 10 hours. I will have lots of, like, fruit tea in mason jars, just like in the fridge, so that I have something cold to drink. What else do I do? Oh, another TI thing I do is that every single Sunday I go through my YouTube analytics and I keep track of all of the analytics in my journal. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about my bullet journal. I keep track of all analytics, and I give myself a time to reflect and be like, is this working for me? Is anything not working for me? Any ENFJ, if you give yourself a moment to reflect on, is this system of my life working for me, it's going to be an absolute huge game changer for you. Another thing is that a lot of you guys might be familiar with the bullet journal system. I actually made a video about my bullet journal that I can link below, but tracking habits has also been huge for me. I've had to ask myself, what are some things that I would like to be a staple in my life that are not? I would love to floss every day. I would love to meditate every morning and every evening. And I have gone through journeys where that has been consistent, but it's not always consistent. So I pretty much arranged a whole spreadsheet of habits that I would like in my life. One of those being gratitude. One of those being posting a YouTube video. Journaling. Doing yoga. Meditating, like I said. And it feels like a little reward to myself whenever I'm able to meet my own needs like that and actually invest in me and actually help the system of my life. Every little thing I do, like being grateful for the things that I do for me. If you're an ENFJ or ESFJ and you're watching this, you are already amazing at building trust with other people. So in order to develop your introverted thinking, ask yourself, what are you doing to develop trust with yourself? What are you giving to yourself, and what are you giving to the system that is your life that will help you thrive? So yeah, I'm also going to link below DaveSuperPowers video about introverted thinking in the EFJ as a reference point. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions, if you would like me to share examples of other types, or yeah. And feel free to join my Facebook page, which I will link below, Personality Typology for Self-Growth. And if you'd like to work with me, all those links are below as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for sharing my story. And best of luck to all of you who are out there trying to improve your inferior function, whether or not you are an ENFJ, ESFJ, or not. Thank you for watching.